Mhm.
Hello. On behalf of the Lead Center, I would like to welcome everyone. We're so glad you've joined us today to learn more about the Good Jobs Initiative, creating employment opportunities for people with disabilities. Through the Good Jobs Initiative, the U.S. Department of Labor is focused on improving job quality and creating access to good jobs for all working people, including people with disabilities. It's October, which means it's National Disability Employment Awareness Month, also known as NDEAM. And what better way to celebrate the month than with today's webinar? Because today you will hear from a variety of panelists, including employers and people with disabilities they employ in good jobs, discussing their experiences and the supports that were provided to ensure success. Employers will also share how employing people with disabilities has benefited their respective businesses. This webinar is hosted by the Center on Leadership for the Employment and Economic Advancement of People with Disabilities, or the LEAD Center. We are a Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act Policy Development Center. The LEAD Center is led by National Disability Institute and is funded by the Office of Disability Employment Policy and the U.S. Department of Labor. Together, we facilitate the adoption and integration of inclusive WIOA programs, policies, and practices through research, technical assistance, and demonstration projects. Next slide, please. My name is Sarah Loazo, and I go by she, her. I am a white woman with long brown hair, and today I am wearing a purple shirt and a gray sweater. I am honored to be the moderator of today's event. In my role with the National Disability Institute, I provide technical assistance to the LEAD WIOA Policy Development Center as a subject matter expert on inclusive career pathways. I am so glad you're here with us today. Next slide. To ensure everyone can participate fully in today's webinar, we would like to take just a moment to share some captioning and housekeeping tips. Today's webinar is live captioned, and the captions appear below the slide deck. You also have the option to open the captioning webpage in a new browser, and the links have been posted in the chat or will be momentarily. Once the captioning window opens on your own system, you can adjust the background color, the text color, and the fonts using the drop-down menus at the top of the browser window. We suggest you position the window to sit right on top of the embedded captioning to allow you to see the screen itself. Next slide, please. We really encourage you to ask any questions that you might have about the content we cover today. At any point, you can click the question and answer button that's located on the webinar's menu bar, and this will bring up a Q&A panel or a window into which you can type questions for our presenters. We will save time at the end for a question and answer period. Use the chat box if you're experiencing any technical issues or if you have questions for the technical support team. Please type them into the chat box. Next slide, please. To provide a welcoming and opening remarks and to help lay the groundwork for our discussion today about the Good Jobs Initiative, I would like to introduce Taryn McKenzie Williams, the Assistant Secretary of Labor for Disability Employment Policy. In this position, she advises the Secretary of Labor on how the department's policies and programs impact the employment of people with disabilities and leads the Office of Disability Employment Policy, which works with employers and all levels of government to promote evidence-based policy that improves employment opportunities and outcomes for people with disabilities. Previously, Assistant Secretary Williams was the Managing Director for the Poverty to Prosperity Program at the Center for American Progress. Before joining the Center for American Progress, she worked at the Office of Disability Employment Policy on a variety of issues related to education and workforce policy. Thank you for joining us today, Assistant Secretary Williams. I will turn it over to you.
Thank you for that introduction. I am so excited to be here. I'm really thrilled about the webinar today. Hello, everyone. As Sarah mentioned, I'm Taryn Williams, and I have the privilege of serving as the Assistant Secretary of Labor for Disability Employment Policy here at the U.S. Department of Labor, where I head the Office of Disability Employment Policy, or ODEP for short. I am a Black woman. I have shoulder-length curly Afro hair, and I am wearing a green scarf today. ODEP is a sub-cabinet agency within the U.S. Department of Labor that reports directly to the Secretary. We were established by Congress a little over 20 years ago to create a federal agency dedicated to working across policies, programs, federal agencies, and external stakeholders to promote the employment of people with disabilities. And on behalf of ODEP and DOL, welcome to today's webinar. Our topic for today's webinar is ensuring access and equity in this historic infrastructure investments made by the Biden administration through the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, the Inflation Reduction Act, and the CHIPS and Science Act. Of course, that includes historically underserved groups, including people with disabilities and those who are multiply marginalized. This is a core principle of our Good Jobs Initiative, where we're working with our federal partners to ensure that historically underserved groups benefit from these multi-billion-dollar infrastructure programs, including the significant number of new federal contracts. Thus far, the department has entered into memoranda of understanding with 5 different federal agencies, and this has resulted in $181 billion in Investing in America funds with equity and job quality incentives in 91 funding opportunity announcements. Today, we're excited to examine these topics together through the lens of employers and how people with disabilities can be and are great employees in these good jobs. Many of you in the disability community have probably heard of competitive integrated employment. This is a concept that people with disabilities need to be paid at least the minimum wage, work with individuals with and without disabilities, receive the same benefits as all other employees, and have the same opportunity to advance as other employees. The Good Jobs Principles, which are the foundation for the Good Jobs Initiative, take the concept of CIE much further. For example, the Good Jobs Principles include empowerment and representation, job security, working conditions, organizational culture and pay, and of course, all of the aspects of what we call DEIA, or diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility, amongst others. Today, we are going to hear some examples of the Good Jobs Principles in action. We will hear from people with disabilities about their experience in their good job. We will hear from employment system staff and job support staff about the goodness of fit between the person with the disability and the good job and how together they made that happen. And we will hear from several employers about all the good things people with disabilities are bringing to their business. But before we start, I want to remind everyone that this month is National Disability Employment Awareness Month. This year's theme for NDEAM, as we call it, is Advancing Access and Equity, one of the Good Jobs principles. There are only 5 days left of NDEAM, but by attending this webinar, each and every one of you are showing your commitment to increasing disability inclusion in the workplace. If you want to learn more about NDEAM, we have a blog, video, and a presidential proclamation, and so many other tools. And in addition, it's not too late to download or request a poster or to start using the NDEAM logo as your virtual background. Been so excited all month to see not only the tools that we've developed at ODEP, but how employers across public and private sector have customized these tools to demonstrate their commitment to workplace inclusion for people with disabilities. And all of these resources and more can be found at dol.gov/NDEAM. This year also marks the 50th anniversary of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973, the first federal law to address the civil rights of people with disabilities. To recognize this milestone, we publish interviews with various leaders, including some in this office, about how the law helped to advance access and equity for disabled people. We also developed a video explaining how the law affects millions across the nation every day. But now, back to today's webinar. I'm really excited to hear the stories from our panelists. I want to thank the Lead Center for hosting this webinar and for all the work that you all do to increase employment and economic security for disabled individuals. ODEP is very grateful to you for our continued collaboration in advancing disability inclusion. And I'll stop there. I'm really eager to hear from our panelists, and I look forward to a great discussion. So happy NDEAM, everyone. Can't wait for this webinar. And Sarah, I'll pass it back to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Assistant Secretary Williams. That was great. And I'm excited to hear from the panelists as well. So we're going to learn a lot today. Throughout this webinar, the panelists that'll be speaking are going to help us to understand how Good Jobs principles and the Good Jobs initiative can be a potential source of competitive integrated employment jobs for people with disabilities. We're going to gain examples of people with disabilities already working in Good Jobs initiative industries. We'll be exploring strategies that can assist employers in benefiting from employees with disabilities in their workforce, including employees with significant disabilities. We will hear directly from business leaders about the contributions of people with disabilities in their workforce. Next slide, please. So we have 3 exciting panelists that you're going to hear from today. The first one comes from the South Carolina Vocational Rehabilitation Department in their office in Moncks Corner, South Carolina. You will hear a story about Larry Phillips, who now has a career in welding. Our next panelist is Penmar Human Services. They're in New Freedom, Pennsylvania. And you're going to hear how Penmar assists employers in their efforts to successfully hire and retain individuals with disabilities. That panel also includes one of the businesses who works with Penmar, and they're going to talk about their relationship with each other and how they've successfully employed people with disabilities. And the final panelist is Seeking Employment, Equality, and Community, also known as SEEK, located in Silver Spring, Maryland. This panelist is going to have actually 2 individuals that they're going to discuss that they've worked with. SEEK, like Penmar, works to assist people with disabilities in seeking employment. You will also hear on that panel one of their employers that they work with, called Resinova Labs, and one of the individuals who works for them as well. So it's really busy, so I'm really looking forward to hearing from everyone. So we can just go to the next slide, please. So our first presenter is Shannon Reed. She is a vocational rehabilitation counselor for the South Carolina Vocational Rehabilitation Department at their Moncks Corner location. The mission of South Carolina Vocational Rehabilitation is to prepare and assist eligible South Carolinians with disabilities to achieve and maintain competitive employment. Their vision is to be the leader in quality employment outcomes for their consumers and business partners through people, partnerships, and performance. Today, Shannon is going to share with us a story of South Carolina Vocational Rehabilitation's 2022 Consumer of the Year, Larry Phillips. Thanks to the assistance of Shannon and an array of partners, Larry overcame several obstacles and has successfully been employed as a welder for the past 2 years. She will also be showing a video featuring Larry and some of those partners that assisted him. Shannon, thank you for joining us today.
Great, thank you. So just give you a little introduction. I am a white female, short brown hair. I am wearing a flowered top and a black jacket. So thank you for having me today. Wanted to tell you a little bit more about our program. Like we said, we work with a variety of individuals with limitations, and we partner with local companies and businesses. And what things that we try to do is help businesses recruit the right individuals for the company. We do a variety of things from task analysis, pre-screening, candidate referrals, and job fairs. Recently, we had a disability mentoring day with high school students where we invited companies to come and talk with the students to explain what the jobs are out there, what the demands are, what the skills are needed. And they also helped with sharing with the high school students how to act appropriately in an interview and what do they need to do now while they're in high school. With our program in South Carolina, we have what we call our job readiness training program. Is that we are a resource for businesses and industries needing to complete projects that are maybe a time or labor sensitive or too costly to complete in the house. The individuals that we have here are able to learn skills and strategies to be successful. We also work on interviewing skills, budgeting, resume writing, and stress management. Overall, we do a lot of training with the BR, from occupational vocational training to 2 to 4 year college. We offer customized training and work-based training. We also partner with some of our companies to do internships and apprenticeships. We offer on-the-job training where businesses will partner with us, where they might find someone who they are interested in, but they may not have the skills at the time to start with their company. So what we do is partner with them to do on-the-job training. With this, our consumers are covered by Voc Rehab's workman's comp, and we can end up paying the individual up to 10 weeks while they are in a training. So, and once the individual is officially hired, we still follow them for 90 to 120 days to make sure that they are successful, that the individual is happy, along with our business partner. We also have job retention services where we have a 28-day substance abuse program. We also have our rehab engineers that we'll talk a little bit more about, and our comprehensive evaluation center, which is our program that works with individuals with TBIs, pain management, prosthetic, and orthopedic needs. So I will kind of tell you a little bit about Larry Phillips, who was our Consumer of the Year. When I met Larry, he has a spinal cord injury and as a result of a gunshot, and he had spent 10 years in prison. When I first met Larry, he had two goals. One is he wanted to get off disability. He wanted to be able to provide for his family. He wanted to work full time. He knew there were things out there that he could do. He just needed help and some guidance in navigating around. Another thing is that he wanted to be a good role model for his sons. He wanted to show them that that people can change and they can do better. And that's exactly what Larry did. So what we're going to do, we do have a video that talks a little bit about Larry. He's going to tell a little bit about his experience with Voc Rehab. Some things that we did with Larry is we partnered with the WIOA in assisting with training for him, along with our partners. ARC Labs is where he went for the training, and W International ended up hiring him. And we did a variety of services with him, such as our rehab engineers who assisted with evaluating him and offering certain tools, such as flat tires for his wheelchair, a flip welder's hat, um, a protective welding apron that goes between his chest down to his legs, to his feet. So I will introduce our video on Larry Phillips.
Asked by it all the time. So I came here one day and I asked questions and I applied. Didn't know exactly what I wanted to do, but I have some family members that are welders and they would talk about it.
We hooked up with ARC Labs and they were kind of excited too. They're like, well, this might be challenging, but they were willing to work with us and see what the possibilities were. The one thing that was good about it, that is when he did start taking the classes, that some of the students got excited for him, and some of the students built different things to help him with the classes. So it was neat that like everybody that met Larry just wanted to say, okay, what can we do to help him be successful? And it just kept growing.
We sat and pondered on it. Actually, me and Pete did for a little bit and say, hey, what do you think? You think we can make it happen or what? So we started drawing stuff up, and next thing you know, we had our students that were at the school at that time start building his new booth. The students that were in school at that time got to partake on building every part of Larry's stuff he needed to get his home.
ARC Labs welcomed me with open arms. They provided so much for me. The people at ARC Labs, the classroom is upstairs. My condition, I can't get upstairs. So they formulated a bucket lift for me to get in the bucket lift to lift me up the stairs to go to attend the classes, and it was great.
The students had a lot of hands on it.
I got so much gratitude for ARC Labs. I'm just blessed to be in the situation that I am today.
We had set up a tour with W International, a local company in Berkeley County that basically welds submarines for the military. We set up a site tour for him to go out and see what it was like, and to kind of explore what would need to be in place for him to be successful there. They actually worked with him and set up a specific training program for him, kind of an apprenticeship to get the extra hands-on training to then apply what he learned through the welding classes at ARC Labs directly with what they'd be doing on site at W International.
I applied for a couple of places. Once a company or once a person sees you in a wheelchair, they're like, you're not going to be able to do this job. They didn't say it personally to me, but I can read their facial expressions and I can just see what they're thinking. And so a couple of places turned me down, and I went to this place called W International. Once again, W International will welcome me with open arms.
They fabricated a welding table for him with the correct height, with the correct tools that he needed to be competitive and to perform the skill and learn the skill to be the best that he could be. When W International really opened up and went above and beyond to try to support him, we knew it was the right fit.
I thought it would be so difficult to have a career in the field of welding. They gave me a shot. And that's all I asked was somebody give me a shot. They gave me a shot, and it's been, what, a year since I'm going 2 years now. I've been here. So I'm going on 3 years. Yeah, so, hey, they gave me a shot, and that's all I asked.
Okay, so that was Larry. We were able to offer him a variety of services, and we had some really good partners that were willing to give him a chance and an opportunity. So I want to thank you for your time, and I will pass it over to Miss Sarah.
Thank you. Oh, my camera. Thank you so much, Shannon, for joining us today and telling us Larry's story. I absolutely love his story. And the fact that he's been there at W International now for over 2 years is incredible. So I'd like to move on now to our next group of panelists. And we're going to speak with Tricia Zeltlinger, who is a career counselor for Penmar Human Services in New Freedom, Pennsylvania. Penmar is an employment first provider, and they support people to connect their interests, skills, and conditions for success to competitive integrated employment. And joining Tricia is an employer partner that she works with called Aquaphoenix Scientific. And from there, you'll hear from Stephen Kerr, who is the Director of Human Resources, and Tina Mansfield, who's the Human Resources Coordinator. Aquaphoenix Scientific is a leader in test kit and reagent manufacturing and chemical feed and control equipment, as well as a distributor of thousands of testing products and supplies. So I can't wait for you to hear from them about how they work together and how employing people with disabilities has benefited Aquaphoenix. So Tricia, I will hand it now over to you.
Fantastic. Hi, everyone. My name is Trish Zeltlinger, and I am from Penmar Human Services. I am a career counselor, job developer, and also a consultant for Penmar. Today, if I'm to describe myself, I am blonde. I want to say I'm a young woman, and I have blonde hair, and I am wearing a peach shirt and a green coat. It is a true pleasure to be here today. I've been so excited the past couple of weeks to be given this opportunity to, present today, and joining with Stephen and Tina today from Aquaphoenix Scientific, on how we collaborated, to create a really great opportunity for, someone there. And how we did that is through a customized employment approach. And it's really the key, right? I'm sorry, do you mind going to the next slide, please? There are phases to to customized employment. And here and on the screen, I have described here discovery and assessment, job development, employment, and workplace supports. And all 4 of these are key, again, as I mentioned, to the success and great outcomes for the people that we support. Discovery, I'm going to give you a little bit of a rundown on each one of these and what they look like. Discovery and assessment. This is what we do is we discover. We work with an individual. We discover all of their great skills, their interests, their talents, most importantly, their passions about wanting employment in their community. And also how would things be successful for them? What does successful employment look like? How would they be most happy in that type of employment? The next part is the job development. This is where and I conduct informational interviews, connect with my community, maybe through networking, to identify businesses that make sense for all of the different things that we've discovered through those discovery and assessments of that individual. And I create those partnerships and those relationships. And that's how I met Aquaphoenix Scientific. This is where I go and try to identify some of the labor needs inside of their business, sharing, stories that they may need to, have backlogs in different areas of their business that maybe would apply to the skills and the interests and the wants for employment for a person that I'm supporting. The next part is the great part, right? The passion of everything that I have here. It's the employment side of it. This is where I'm going to successfully negotiate all of those job duties for that individual. It comes down to the pay, the hours, the benefits, everything that we do for ourselves, but we customize for that individual. The other part is the workplace supports. This is one of the most probably important part for the phases of employment to create a really great outcome for someone. And that is finding out where those supports might be needed inside of that business. It could be as simple as someone needing supports with punching in. We could help create those natural supports inside of their business. in their new endeavor, their new phase of employment. Maybe they need somebody to help them support with that, or getting to their workstation on time, or just knowing how to know whether or not they're going to have a company picnic that month. Having them being able to know and identify the areas of maybe where they list those things, and creating that passionate relationship with the employer to be able to help accommodate and help support that their new job seeker or their new employee. Actually, a lot of the supports come through the offices of Voc Rehab in the Pennsylvania area. That's the which is called OVR. It also in Maryland is called DOORS. This is where supports are given and funding sources to be able to practice what we put into place here to help somebody have a really great, successful outcome in our community. I am extremely passionate about this process because it is really an untapped labor market, right? And I want to make sure that anybody who wants to work in our community has an opportunity to do that. And if you know me, you know how passionate I am about this. Guess what I want to do is I do want to give you a couple of not scenarios, but actually really great success stories before I turn it over to one of my best stories, which is with Aquafina Scientific. I created a few that I wanted to talk about today. One of them, when I supported an individual through this process, customized employment, and through the phases of employment services, was to customize a job. It was called actually it's called custom engraving, and this was a great relationship that I built through those networking type of events and things like that. But what I did, sorry, can you go to the next slide? I apologize, I forgot to ask. Thank you. What I did is I customized an opportunity when I met with that employer, and I learned that they were in need of products that to be unpacked and repacked. He's an engraver, right? A lot of Yeti cups and things like that, awards that they, for companies, and they would do awards. They do millions of those type of things. And so I was able to identify their needs inside their business. I looked at how much time they needed to spend or needed supports, and what time of the day that would needed to be supported. And the great part, the beautiful part of all of this is the growth that someone has, exploring new ideas and even self-advocating. I was so very proud of this individual. He got in there, he learned the unpacking part and the packing part of the products. But what he learned then is that he has more skill and he wants to apply them to that business. Now he actually operates a laser engraving machine. So we got his foot in the door. We figured out more of his skills as he practiced. And look, it's the outcome, right? More skill, more money. Makes him very, very happy. He's a big shoe buyer. So he gets to be able to spend lots of money on new shoes. So I'm happy for him. The other one is Sample Express. And Sample Express is one of my passionate ones too. This was an individual, comes out of the words of mom and dad. I don't think he's employable. Good luck. And I said, I took on the challenge. This individual is is autistic, nonverbal. And I identified again a company in our community, Sample Express. And made that relationship with them, walked in, did an informational interview, learned their business, assembling roof shingles for sample boards, the kind that they go into the briefcase, and the guy goes around and shows different businesses what samples of different shingles look like, and they can pick from. Found out that they needed somebody to put those onto that sample board. And it is very repetitive, very dexterity is required to do it, precision. And this young gentleman, I was able to identify, again, through the phases of employment, through all of that discovery and all the assessments, I was able to find his niche in this world. The growth for him, once we got in there, I could tell that he had a bit of an eye for making of boxes. So we thought, okay, let's give it a try. So now he is versatile in his workplace. Not only does he do the sample shingles, but he also can make all of the boxes for all of the other products that are inside of that business. Both of these gentlemen have been, employed now for more than 5 years in each of these different locations, doing exceptionally well. And that relationship has built to be a great one. I do want to say that I'm so happy and pleased to introduce you guys to Steve Kerr and Tina Mansfield from Aqua Phoenix Scientific. This again is another company that I knocked on their door, created a relationship with, and create an opportunity for a young man. And the value of the partnership is soulful to me, and I truly appreciate their partnership. So thank you so much for listening. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of the webinar, and I'm going to turn it over to Stephen and Tina.
Thank you, Trish. Appreciate that. Welcome, everybody. We're not very good at this, so we will try to do the best we can. I'm Steve Kerr. I'm Director of Human Resources for Aqua Phoenix Scientific. I'm wearing a black shirt and with a company logo with a phoenix on it for Aqua Phoenix and tan pants.
Hi, I'm Tina Mansfield. I work with recruiting as well as onboarding special folks like this that we've had partnerships with, which has been amazing. I'm wearing a blue shirt with glasses on. I have blonde hair, a white woman, and of course the company logo as well with the phoenix on there. So I'm excited to be a part of this webinar.
We really don't know what to say. We're honored to be a part of this. We don't look at it as hiring people with disabilities. We look at it as hiring people that help us grow our business. So we're proud to have these partnerships at Aqua Phoenix. We're proud to be able to help out in the community. And we all know we've been touched with someone that has disabilities or has mountains to climb, if you will, and that we're proud to have individuals like that in our company that we can make a special part of our team as we move forward in our business. Next slide. We have a video to kind of show you a little bit about our company. Tina's going to read. I guess I messed that up. I put words in there, but we didn't put the voiceover. So we'll be adding that. Again, we're not good at this, but kind of explains a little bit about our company and the types of jobs that we were able to have individuals with disabilities and how we can make general modifications for those. And hopefully the video will start.
Aqua Phoenix Scientific. Aqua Phoenix is a custom manufacturer offering innovative products and services for industrial water quality testing and chemical feed and control. We manufacture drop count test kit reagents, calibration solutions, control panels, pump skids, filtration units, and so much more. We are coast to coast. Our locations across the U.S. are in Pennsylvania, Texas, California, and Virginia. We pride ourselves on being a different kind of supplier. Our custom manufacturing, fabrication, and private label capabilities allow us to create unique products.
I promise that was not a shameless plug, but that was the only video that we could come up with that and supply. Tori was a little nervous about being on video, so we couldn't convince him to speak to the group. But at Aqua Phoenix, we pride ourselves on our way that we can embed ourselves in the community, and this is just one initiative that we do that with. Across the country in our other facilities, we have the same standards. If we can employ them and they're part of our success, and we welcome them into our family. Tori, who is our individual that's been with us, both Tina and I met with Trish, and we're like, absolutely, we can make this work. And it has been a great success for us. Tori rides his bike to work or gets a ride from his parents. But we explain to supervisors that, you know, if it's a wet day or a day that's a little off in weather, that Tori may be a little late. So we made some accommodations for how he can come into work and when. But basically, we have found that he has been seamless in the transition into the workforce on regular standards. We hold him to the same standards we do all of our employees. And so we don't really look at it as we're making accommodations, because quite honestly, we have 351 employees that every day, including ourselves, we're making accommodations for. So he is no different, or any of the teams across the country that we employ that might have some slight modifications. They're still part of our team, and we try to accommodate those. Tina, onboarding, Tori, I think he understood everything from the computer work to
Yeah, each part of it, whether it was the day of and moving forward, you know, anybody who started a new job can be extremely challenging and nervous and those types of things. He handled that with such grace, and he was very happy. He's a very happy individual anyway, which makes everything really easy to work with. But yeah, each step of it, he took it on with great pride.
Yeah. We've learned with Tori a little bit that, and some of our other folks, understanding comprehension and everyone's completely different and with their disabilities. But with Tori, we've learned with the help of Trish is to how to sometimes modify our discipline or our coaching. I like to call it coaching much better. So early on, we made some mistakes on some of that, but with Trish and the help, we realized, oh, he's really, really, really sensitive. And I think we can relate. We wear our heart on our sleeve here. And so we've learned to work with that a little bit, and how we speak with him and how we can make his day better. Because at the end of the day, we want him going home happy that he's a part of our family and that we can grow together. I think
we can turn it back over to Sarah.
We can turn it back over to Sarah.
Thank you guys so much. That was great. So I'm getting a lot of good stuff. I can't take notes fast enough, but I want to move us to our final presenter. I'm really excited. They will actually be talking about two different individuals. This is from SEEK, which is Seeking Employment, Equality, and Community, and they're in Silver Spring, Maryland. We're going to hear today from Pamela Toole. She is the lead employment outreach consultant for SEEK. We will also hear from Zachary Chambers, who is the regional employment counselor for SEEK. And we're also going to hear from one of SEEK's employer partners, Matthew Hardwick, a PhD. He is the president and CEO of Resinova Labs in Rockville, Maryland. Matt founded Resinova Labs in 2014 and is the co-founder and CEO of Resinova Clinical Diagnostics. Working closely with community-oriented nonprofits, he also serves as an active leader, focusing on local partnerships and engagement. Also joining from Resinova Labs is Bridget Liu. She is a research technician for Resinova Labs, and she has been a valuable member of their team thanks to the partnership and support from SEEK. SEEK, which provides a different array of services, works with a variety of employers. So we're also going to learn about another employee that they've worked with named Brett. And Brett works for UPS. And so we're going to hear a little bit about his story. And we're also going to, at the conclusion of their panel time, we're going to hear a video about Brett's job at UPS. And you'll get to hear a little bit from his employer and coworkers. So it'll be really exciting. I don't want to take any more time. So Pamela, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Sarah. We are happy to be here today to share our stories and a little bit about the work we do. This first side, I think, is important. What I do at SEEK is a little bit unique because I do employer outreach. I don't support people directly. We do a lot of similar work to Penmar and other agencies across the country and across the DC area. My job is really to work with business and to talk to employers, which is really the focus of my presentation to you today. But a little bit about Seek, because I think our mission is really integral to that. You're seeing a slide right now that shows our mission statement, which is live, with a graphic about houses, and work, which is a little graphic about that, and then thrive, which for us is really about connectedness and engagement with community. We are guided by 4 C's, what we like to call the 4 C's, which is our belief that anyone who has a job has competency, has contribution, has connection, and has cash. Everyone has something that they do well, and it's our job at Seek to unpack what that is. We then work with businesses to fit those in to what their needs are. When someone has a job, they can contribute, they have competency, and the cash, of course, translates to buying power like everyone else, and they can contribute to the local economy. We feel like that is what truly contributes to competitive integrated employment. Next slide. So this next slide is a little bit about Seek's impact. And I think it's also illustrative because we work with over 200 employers. We support over 345 people in the local community. And the number of people that we have working is 58% versus the national average of 20%. We also are working with state professionals throughout the area to improve professional development and the skills that they have to do this work. I just want to pause because I wanted to point out that I'm a white woman with medium brown hair and glasses, and I'm wearing a black shirt today. But I think, this is our impact is wide, but the fact that we work with over 200 employers is important. We partner with employers small and large. We have internship programs throughout the DC area at NIH and Hilton Hotels and the local county government. We work with small businesses and with large organizations to help them identify what their unmet operational needs are, and then to show them how a customized role can be a business solution. There's also studies by Accenture and others that show how companies can see a 28% higher revenue and increase operational efficiency from hiring people with disabilities into those critical roles. And I want to point out that it's not just one job at one company. It's workforce trends and it's solving business solutions and partners that will hire more than one person. They see the value in this as an untapped talent pipeline. We have people who are working anything from a few hours a week up to full-time roles doing lab work and administration and records management and all sorts of things. We feel that we need to be at the front end of this and watch what those workforce trends are and what those industry needs are. It's a rapidly changing workforce, and we're helping to provide that talent. Next slide. I wanted to point out how we partner with business because we truly see this as a partnership, and we support our businesses as much as we can. We feature them on our website. So what you're seeing right now is just a snapshot of our employment page, and it details different industries where we have people working, administrative, arts and entertainment, environmental services, health sciences, and so on. And the next slide shows that we partner with our companies and we actually feature them on our website. We have their logos, we have a shot of Target and Sidley Austin Law Firm and Safeway and the Smithsonian Institution and a variety of people that we partner with who see this value. We want to give back to our partners. All of these then link to their websites. We also push people out on social media, featuring them as inclusive employers. We really want to work with companies to be a partner to solve their employment and their recruitment challenges and to support their business. As often as we can, we're buying their products, we're referring their services and their businesses. We really feel like that's important. Next slide, please. These are more of the logos. So just to kind of show you the breadth of what we do and how we try to feature people. I think it's very important for businesses to understand that it's not just one type of job that people with disabilities have. It's all over the gamut. It's all over the map in all different industries. People have interests and abilities that can serve all sorts of things. And we're working out there to find what those things are, work with the businesses, and match up to the perfect job. Next slide, please. So I like to show this because I think as a new employer, I talk to employers all the time, and I used to be an employer. I used to, be managing and a very fast-paced operation where if someone came to me with this, I would be apprehensive. I wouldn't know what to do. And I'm not a swimmer, so I think this means a lot to me. It gives me a little of anxiety. But if I'm not going to be really happy and confident till I learn how to swim laps by myself independently. But in the beginning, I want to do it, but I don't know how. And at any point, I might jump out of the pool. And I feel like a lot of new employers feel that way. And it's to assure you that we know how to teach you and how to coach you. It's not easy. We want to make it smooth and easy, and that's what we're here to do for you. In the long run, it's for the people we support and for the business. And our job and our goal is long-term retention. And on the job support, I think, is one of the things that is extremely confusing to a lot of employers. How does that work? How does customized employment work? What does that mean? Our team comes in and we show you. We come in there, we learn the tasks, we learn the needs. We bring someone that we feel will fit that role, and we make it happen. We're in there in the beginning because we don't want you to jump out of the pool. We want to get a strong foundation laid, and then we back away when we feel that people can swim solo, both the employer and the employee. We're here to support the business and improve outcomes for employers as much as we are for the job seekers. I want to turn this over to Matt and Bridget, both from Resinova Labs, to tell their story. A little bit more about Matt. He's not only a SEEK employer, but also a member of SEEK's Business Advisory Council and SEEK's Board of Directors. Zachary Chambers, who is a regional employment coordinator at SEEK, supports Bridget at Resinova, and he also supports Brett at UPS, so he'll be talking to you about that as well. Next slide. I'm going to turn this over to Matt and Bridget.
All right, I guess that's my cue. Hi, I'm Matt Hardwick. I'm a boring old white guy who uses he, him pronouns. I've got gray-black hair. I'm wearing a red shirt and a blue sweater, and I jazz things up with a pair of red glasses. I have to admit, I'm kind of totally observing the ASL interpreter, and I absolutely am just fascinated by it. Anyway, I'll get into what I'm supposed to talk about. So Resinova Labs is a microbiology laboratory. We are deep science. We do a lot of bench work. That's wet science. That means we work with bacteria. We work with lots of different liquid reagents and solid reagents. And we hired Bridget about 5.5 years ago in 2018 to help us in making reagents and pouring what are called agar plates. It's, if you've ever seen pictures out there of gross looking stuff growing up on plates, Bridget makes those plates. She doesn't make the gross stuff any more than the rest of us do, but she does make some amazing agar plates that really super important to what we do. Bridget can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe this is her first job, or at least her first full-time job. She works 3 days a week, 6 hours a day. And Bridget has been instrumental to what we do. She is super productive and critical to the rest of my staff's productivity. Like I said, she makes a lot of the reagents that we use every single day. She's fairly specialized in that. Yep, there you go. Those big things in sleeves, those are the agar plates that Bridget makes. That's in our old lab before we moved to our new place. And she is also adding, I believe, nutrient broth to 50 ml tubes there. So we use those literally every day, and we couldn't do our work without Bridget. She's so good at it that she teaches all of our summer interns. They come in, and the first week that they're with us, they learn how to do these things alongside Bridget. And because she's the best, she's the one who teaches them. The other thing that's really changed a lot since we brought Bridget on is our culture. We are better communicators now than we were when Bridget started. I think everybody shows a lot more patience with each other. And we've really improved accessibility. And I'm talking less about accessibility with moving around, getting to and fro, although that we have that as well. It's more accessibility of ideas, making sure that everybody at the table understands what we're talking about when we have our lab meetings and things like that. One of the attendees said that they appreciate how Mr. Steve Kerr noted that generally all employees need some form of accommodations to the workplace from time to time. I echo that 100%. One of the things I've really observed in Bridget's work with us is that Bridget really is no different than the rest of us in the fact that, if she communicates a little differently, I start to notice each one of us has our own unique way of both communicating and receiving communications. We all have our own individual ways of expressing stress, relaxation, and Bridget's no different. So, it's no accommodation to have Bridget working with us. In fact, she probably does a lot more accommodating of us than we do of her. She's a very tolerant person. And she works really, really well in a chaotic environment that the lab sometimes is. I don't think I have anything else, Pam. I guess I'll turn it over to Bridget and Zachary.
Bridget, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Bridget, and I guess I have black hair. I have a Reebok sweater, jacket, or whatever. I'm not really much of a talker.
Well, I appreciate you being on this today. I know it was not your first choice, but I do appreciate it nonetheless. Bridget, can you tell us a little bit about what you do every day at work?
I guess like what Matt said, I I make plates with the agar. So it's like a solution and then heated solution, and then I just pour it in the plates, called a petri dish. I guess that's pretty much all I do.
And how many of those do you make per day?
Maybe like over 100, but less than 200. I don't know. I don't count.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
I think Bridget's selling herself short. She does a lot more than that. She does a lot more than just making plates, and she has the ability to do a lot more of the agar plates. I understand why she says she doesn't keep track, because it's a lot to keep track of sometimes.
Yes, indeed. I'm pretty sure in this photo here, all those were made by Bridget. So it's not a little. And so, Bridget, can you tell me a little bit about when you were first in the job? How long did it really take you to get really into the job and really know what you were doing?
So when I first joined, I don't think it took that long for me to understand what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
I think I just got it quickly.
A few days.
Yeah.
We were expecting 2 weeks, and she got it within the first week for sure. Bridget, did you have more that you wanted to say?
Well,
no.
Yeah, I don't think so. Questions. A few more questions. Can I ask you 2 more questions, Bridget?
Okay.
Do you feel like you're contributing to the overall experience?
Yeah, I am.
That's great. And how do you feel about your coworkers?
They're great people.
I think there's Bridget, would you like to answer just one question from the audience real quickly?
Okay.
How do you like to be trained?
I'm not sure.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Bridget. I know if you can shut off your camera if you'd like now.
One of the great things about when Bridget was originally trained was how quickly she took to the hands-on training part of it. I think she maybe had a little trepidation. See, one of the things that she's holding there in her right hand is called a pipette aid. That has a filter at the top of it, and if you get liquid up into that filter, it can destroy the whole thing. So she probably had a little bit of nervousness about that, but because she's so precise, after the first couple of days, that was not a concern for her anymore. So I think the physical aspect of it, she learned very, very quickly. Like she said, she's integral to what we do. There's no doubt. I mean, somebody's asked a little bit more about the benefits, both tangible and intangible. As I said already, from a bottom line perspective, she's one of our most productive workers. She works 18 hours a week, and she's producing. She gets her assignments in the morning. She tackles them. When she needs a break, she takes a break. Doesn't have to consult with anybody about that. Then when she's done with her break, she comes right back and gets her job done. And when she's done with her work, she goes and she's got her own cubicle. So she goes and sits there and does whatever she does until it's time to go. So from a tangible perspective, I mean, incredibly cost effective to work with an employee like Bridget, where the training is minimal. If we change up her job at all, we will bring Zachary back in or another job coach, help work through those logistics, and then we're off to the races again. And again, she's incredibly reliable. Intangible, I was talking about the culture. I think we're all a little more patient with each other. We have had employees in the past who didn't fit that very well, and they just weren't proper members of the team, and so they didn't stay on the team. It's pretty much an agreement that, you know, if you can't deal well with Bridget, you don't belong in Resinova. I hate to call it a litmus test, but you know, if you're not treating Bridget well, you're not going to treat anybody else well. And so we, you know, from an intangible perspective, she's just really, really important to us. I can't stress enough how integral she is to what we do. I can't imagine running this company without her.
Matt, I have a question, if I may. Going back to this notion of customized jobs, I often say that every job is customized, as was mentioned. Many jobs just aren't job descriptions and job postings. They're really kind of discovering the employer and customizing the needs of the employer to fit an employee. So can you talk about a little bit the very early days? Was this a job that you were thinking you needed to post somewhere? Was there a job description? How did it start?
Yeah, so I had a general idea of how we could incorporate somebody with a disability into working at Resinova. I've always thought that labs would be a great place for someone with a considerable amount of focus, and who didn't mind doing incredibly repetitive things. And, you know, I've always felt that was the lab is a good atmosphere for that. The fact that we tend to be fairly cerebral in the laboratory, I think also works well with folks with disabilities, because, you know, there's a cerebral aspect to both the cognition of what they're doing. Many of us try to figure out how another person sort of goes about their tasks. And if we apply that to Bridget, we have to apply that to everybody, right? And again, it just, what you said, every job is customized over time, and we have to accommodate each other. And it's just being human, treating each other like humans. There is no real accommodation for Bridget. We just love her as a team and treat her as a valued teammate.
Competitive and integrated. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So we have one more story. I think give
yes, I
time
can.
to move on, right? I think we have time for the next one.
Yeah.
Zach, you want to talk about Brett a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that there's been some questions about how the process kind of works, so I'll add a little bit more of that into the story. But we've been working with Brett for quite a few years, about 4 or 5 years so far.
Yeah, a little over 3, I think. But
yeah,
a while.
Yeah, for a while. And Brett has had a journey moving through what our community engagement program, and then he had a few other jobs before he landed at his current position, which he is an unloader at UPS. So he is in the trucks every day, unloading them so that they can be shipped locally in the Gaithersburg region of Maryland. By the way, I forgot to introduce myself. My name is Zach Chambers. I'm a regional employment coordinator. I use he, him pronouns. I have a beard and glasses in a black shirt. Yes, so it wasn't the most clean journey. Wasn't the easiest journey for Brett. He definitely went through a few jobs where things didn't quite work out before he ended up at UPS. But one thing that we really understood after really getting to know Brett, going through the discovery process, going through the job development process, was that he needed to be very active at work, and he needed to have boundaries in place that really allowed him to understand what was the limits of his workday and how I need to do this, and this, and then I can leave. So that's one thing for Brett. So Brett, we finally managed to get Brett into this place at UPS just around 3 years ago, coming up in November. And it has been a really great journey from there. He has really melded well into the team there. And unfortunately, they are not able to be here today. We just couldn't get the logistics to kind of work out to really get them on. But we have a video that we will be showing later about it. And yeah, in terms of how we've been supporting Brett on the job, it's similar to how we support Bridget, but definitely more involved. So Brett is fully able to do his job. He is a valuable asset to UPS. He is one of their, when he is working, he's moving. He is one of the fastest in those trucks whenever I'm there. And there are times when I get there an hour later and he's almost finished with his second truck, and I'm like, these are big trucks. They're nothing to scoff at. So when we typically come later in the day and stay until the end of his shift, simply because as we all do, as the day goes on, it kind of gets harder to do the work. But as he's grown in UPS, he's really made a lot of great connections there, and we'll see that on the video. So Pam, do you want to add anything before we?
Yeah, I do. Just a couple things before we end with the video. In this case, in Brett's case, Bridget's case, most everyone, it's finding the right fit, right? It's finding the right environment. It's going through what is that person's strength? What is their contribution? What is their competency? And making it work. And really, looking hard and wide for the right environment, the right natural support, the right people and the right activity and the right thing. And it's I call it an art and a dance. There are methods and there are, routines and ways we go about business, but you've got to tailor everything. You have to customize every situation. And it really is a team of people. And all of these success stories, all the ones previous to ours and all of them out there, it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of people, it takes a lot of conversation. And it's beautiful when it culminates in the success stories that we're showing today. But it is it's an art and a dance, is what I like to say. And it's really finding the right job for the right person at the right time, because you might be working with a business and they're interested, but they're not ready to hire. Sometimes these relationships go on for, years before it turns into a job for someone, and that you have the right person for them. So, it's a perfect match comes with a lot that makes it happen. So just wanted to add that in there in conclusion. I think we have just enough time to show Brett's movie.
Yeah. Oh, I think so in this video, we're going to be showing you, Brett's going to Brett and his job coach will talk about a little bit about his work, as well as you'll hear some testimonials from his current coworkers. And you will be able to see a little bit of him at work, doing what he's doing and what he's really great at. So if you can play the video, please.
I think hiring people with intellectual or developmental disabilities adds a variety to our workforce. It's a lot of character and a lot of active personality. Not everyone is the same, and it kind of just adds a little bit more spark to the workforce. Brett's a hard worker. He's in here every day. Brett has been a very vigilant part of our unload force. You can always count on that he's going to be here. He knows what he wants to do. He comes in, asks for a truck, and goes right to the truck and goes working. He works very well with anyone that you put in there with the truck with him. Everyone in there has always had good experiences with Brett.
Working with Brett has been an enjoyable experience because of his dedication and willingness to work hard every day.
He's a funny guy. He's hilarious. He's actually pretty easy to talk to, especially when I was having a tougher day in the building. I could go and hammer out a truck with Brett and kind of reset my mind.
Well, I enjoy mostly here working with Brett. His ability to do the work, coming to work happy, and making it one account that he's here. Because when Brett come in, you know he's here. Because everybody hear him. He's like, I'm here. Did you clock in? Did you punch in? So that's the best thing that I love with him. He's happy all the time.
Working with someone with a disability, some people think that just because it's a hardworking job that maybe they can't do it. But Brett has fully demonstrated that if we give him a task, he is able to do it. If he has an issue, he will ask questions. He will seek help when needed. Everyone here comes in with their challenges. This is a job that is very physical. So every hourly, in a sense, has their own challenges to get over in here. So I don't see Brett as being anything different than anyone else we would hire in.
The major difference between me and Brett is Brett has a faster speed than me in trucks. If I'm not careful, he will get me every time.
And he's got the physical ability to do it. He does it at a high level, and he does it as well as any other person in this building.
People with that disability needs a chance to do their work, and society needs to accept them. And they can do a lot of things if society give them a chance. UPS is giving him a chance to develop, to be better, and he's taking that ability to do that. Because when he comes in here, he's happy to be here.
The advice I would give for anyone else that's looking to partner with Seek with a hiring is just to be open. You can get great workers from anyone. Everyone has strengths in their abilities to do a job.
Thank you. All right. So yeah, that is Brett. I think that video kind of speaks for itself. Sarah, can we pass it back over to you for the next part?
Absolutely. Thank you guys for joining. Wow, I couldn't take notes fast enough. Thank you so much to all our panelists for sharing your stories and your insights. The Department of Commerce and Labor, they partnered recently to identify what makes a job a good job. And together they came up with something called the Good Jobs Principles. And there are 8 principles to create a framework for workers, businesses, labor unions, advocates, researchers, state and local governments, and federal agencies for a shared vision of job quality. And those principles include recruitment and hiring, benefits, diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility, or DEIA, empowerment and representation, job security and working conditions, organizational culture, pay, skills, and career advancement. So as I listened to each of the presenters today, I kept making connections back to the Good Jobs Principles. You know, when Shannon spoke about Larry with South Carolina Vocational Rehabilitation, I noticed how they assisted Larry and W International's employer in creating a safe and effective working environment that allowed Larry to retain employment for over 2 years now. I also took away from hearing Larry's story how this is indeed a good job for him because he's now receiving pay and benefits that allow him to no longer have to rely on Social Security benefits. That's huge. That's really a good way to show that he is in a good job. You know, when Steve spoke, I was struck by how by them prioritizing diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility by hiring people with disabilities, he had mentioned that it helped their business grow. It benefited them in that way that not only did he have a great employee, but he said his business had grown as a result. And I think that's a really other important thing. You know, Matthew and Bridget had spoke. Bridget, 5.5 years. I don't know many people that are working today for more than 5.5 years. That's incredible. That sort of longevity. And Matt, I was struck by how you had sort of insinuated that because Bridget's there, it's improved your organizational culture, that just by being inclusive and hiring people with disabilities, it's actually made the jobs there better. It's made them good jobs. That's really incredible. And hearing Brett's video, you know, one thing I know about UPS is that it is a union job, which is fantastic. And I don't know if you're aware of this, but people with disabilities benefit from union membership more than any other group of people. And there's research about that from the Center for Economic and Policy Research. So, but I noticed with Brett, again, great organizational culture. You can tell it's a good job. His coworkers value him. He has made the business there improve with the way that he works. And that is, again, another one of the good job principles. So just amazing to me. And thank you guys all for joining us today. So I am really excited to introduce something new to you that's going to be available on the Lead Center website. And hopefully it's going to be given to you guys in the chat. It's a fact sheet. It's called People with Disabilities and the Good Jobs Principles. And this 2-page fact sheet, which is amazingly put together, it talks about how you can learn how the Vesting in America agenda is bringing dollars in federal investments to create good jobs in infrastructure, clean energy, and advanced manufacturing. It explains how the Good Jobs Principles, as we had just mentioned, empower employers to intentionally recruit, train, retain, and promote people in ways that are accessible to all job seekers, including those with disabilities. It's got some access resources to get you started. So I know a lot of people were asking questions about how they can receive the kind of assistance that we talked about today. There's some resources listed on this fact sheet. But the best part of all is the fact sheet. It's just the beginning. We at the Lead Center have been collecting success stories of individuals with disabilities from across the country successfully being trained and hired into good jobs. And we are going to be sharing those stories soon, along with the fact sheet on the Lead Center website. And these stories are sure to inspire employers as well as demonstrate how people from across the country with all different kinds of disabilities and from all different backgrounds are successfully working in good jobs across multiple industries. So please stay tuned for that, but please check out the fact sheet, download it. It's fantastic. Share it with others. So I think we have a few more minutes left so we can answer some questions, and we got a lot of questions. So thank you so much to everybody who submitted a question. If you have one, feel free to stick it in the Q&A. We'll do the best we can in the time we have. I think I'm going to start with, I think Shannon, you were able to answer this question. How would a business connect with vocational rehabilitation to find qualified applicants?
Hey, the one thing is just reach out to a vocational rehabilitation. I know in South Carolina, we have about 30 in different counties, and each state's different. But all you need to do is just reach out, make a call to the company, to Voc Rehab, let them know what you're looking for. Sometimes we can set up an appointment where we can take a tour of your business, see what the needs are, and talk to HR or the managers to kind of find out what you're looking for. And from there, we go back to our offices and share that information. And usually the counselors or training center managers will know who would be a good fit for them. And we try to set up an interview and kind of go from there.
Thank you, Shannon, so much. And just a little heads up to plug back the GJI fact sheet. We do have in the resources a directory to help you locate vocational rehabilitation in your state and your area. Thank you so much. All right, so what some other questions in here we could answer? How can employers receive assistance with work-based learning or on-the-job training? So I know, Shannon, you had talked a little, they talked a little bit in Larry's story, how he received sort of an on-the-job training trial. How does that work? And how can employers get connected with that?
Okay. What it is just reaching out to your local Voc Rehab, talking to them about that. Usually when it comes to on-the-job training, we look at the individual's skills. If this individual doesn't have the skills, we see what we can do about assisting with paying for that individual to take place in on-the-job training program. With that program, Voc Rehab covers the individual under workman's comp. So sometimes that kind of helps some companies feel a little bit better, knowing that we have the backup. So it depends on the company, the job, and the individual, what is needed. So most things just reach out to a Voc Rehab, tell them what you need, and we can try to set up on-the-job training for the individual. Usually, on average, we do about 10 weeks where we assist with paying for the individual to go through training in hopes for them to receive employment after that. And what we also share with the individual and the company, once they're officially hired, we still follow them for 90 to 120 days to make sure things are still working out well.
Awesome. Thank you, Shannon. So another question on here. Are there best practices, and I think any one of the panelists could answer this, are there best practices on how to talk to potential employers who might be nervous about hiring people with disabilities?
This is Matt. I'm happy to answer that. I really think the important part about this is just talk, right? You find out what's needed, what jobs are they hiring for, and break it down by what they think a job needs, right? Generally speaking, we think that jobs are out of the reach of someone because we don't understand. We see somebody who we just assume has limited capabilities without really understanding what their capabilities are. And it's the visual cue, somebody in a wheelchair, or someone who doesn't walk the way we do, or maybe doesn't talk the way we do. And so we just assume that there are all these limitations that go along with that. And in truth, I mean, we are all limited, and we just don't see it because we don't have those visual cues. all the time. And so it's finding a way to sort of say, okay, take that aside, just put them behind a curtain and talk to them and find out, so that you don't have those visual cues. I think that's, it's hard to do that, but at the same time, if you don't tackle it head on, you probably are going to struggle with it indefinitely. So Pam, you have a lot of expertise doing that.
Yeah, I would say to add to that, it's the initial conversations, it's the meeting, it's the peers like Matt and other employers. When you see that other people are hiring people and it's successful for their business, it's that peer pressure, it's that word of mouth. I came from sales and marketing, so the better we do this, the more people their ears are open. And it's another reason why we feature people on LinkedIn. We really try to show the world how successful this is at every chance that we can, because it translates into, it opens people's minds. And once you get their mind open, it paves the way for the conversation on the ground.
Awesome.
Sorry, I just wanted to chime in on there, and absolutely creating those relationships with employers, piggybacking off of Pam and Matthew, absolutely. And showing that you have a candidate that has a really good skills base to maybe be able to apply inside of that business, and creating that relationship to maybe even do, the worksite tours, and even doing work-based assessments inside of those businesses. That seals a lot of deals, so to speak. That sale kind of term for employers to say, oh, before I hire them, oh my gosh, I can see them doing this. So yeah, it's great.
I think when you demonstrate that you're there to help business, it translates into jobs.
Yep. Businesses love to explain where their needs are and their backlogs are. And if you have a really great candidate that can fill those and have the skills to do that, it is going to be a great partnership. And that is a great thing for the people that we support.
Yeah. That's awesome. Those are great answers. Well, it looks like we're right about at 3:30. So I hope you could please just go to the next slide. I want to thank you all so much for joining us today. I hope you found this conversation as informative and rich as I have. Please visit us at leadcenter.org and sign up for information and notifications. And again, please check out that fact sheet. It's fantastic. Download it, share it. And we hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you again for joining. Bye.